Hare Krishna, dear devotees, please join us today. Today we will be discussing the appearance day of Lord VamanaDeva. So this is Shravan Mas, the month of Shravan, and the 12th day, Dwadashi day, is where Lord VamanaDeva appeared. And this day is also known as Vijaya. So his glories are given from his birth and his pastimes in Srimad Bhagavatam 8th canto. And from 15 through 19th chapter, we see as how Lord VamanaDeva, his appearance was there. In 18th chapter, he appeared. And so we will be discussing about the glories of his appearance and the reason why he appeared. So please join us in getting blessings of the Guru Parampara. Hare Krishna. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshitarine Om Ajnana Timrandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurun militam yena tasmai Shri Guruve namaha Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langhayate girim Yat kripatadaham vande Shri Gurum dinataranam Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare 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 Rama, Rama Rama, Hare 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 Krishna, dear devotees. So, today is appearance day of Lord VamanaDeva, and also today happens to be the appearance day of Srila Jiva Goswami. Srila Jiva Goswami ki jai. Lord VamanaDeva ki jai. So here, who are the parents of Lord VamanaDeva? Sage Kashyapa, he is one of the Prajapatis, the progenitors of this universe, and one of the Prajapatis, and his wife Aditi was the mother of Lord VamanaDeva. That's why Lord VamanaDeva is also known as Aditya. So the sons of Aditi are known as Adityas, and Kashyap Muni has many wives, and one of the younger sister of Aditi, her name is Diti, and her sons, her descendants are known as Daityas. So why did Lord VamanaDeva take birth? Lord Krishna reveals in Bhagavad Gita that there are three reasons why he appears in this particular world again and again, time and again. And what are those reasons? Paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkritam dharma sansthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge. He is revealing to Arjuna that to protect the devotees and to annihilate the miscreants and to reestablish the principles of religion, reestablish the principles of pure devotional service, he appears in this universe millennium after millennium. Yuge Yuge. So here in this chapter, in this canto 8 of Srimad Bhagavatam, as we can see, this is a thread-giving ceremony of Lord VamanaDeva being depicted here. And how his parents, Kashyapa Muni is there, Aditi is there, and various demigods are there, Brihaspati is there, right? And so forth in this picture. And he's appearing such a beautiful form. So as Lord VamanaDeva appeared, what was the reason? So what is the history behind it? Right? Keshavadhita Vamana Rupa Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare Jaya Jagadish Hare. In the 13th century, Jayadev Goswami, he appeared in Bihar region in India, and he had written the Dashavta Stotra, which is the introduction to Gita Govinda, right? And there are many wonderful prayers in Gita Govinda, in glorification of the Lordship. So here, he is identifying that Lord appeared in the Vaman Rup, in a midget form, and he came to subdue to subdue Bali Maharaja, to cheat away all the property of Bali Maharaj. Yet at the same time, this pastime is glorifying, and Lord, He serves many purposes just by doing one thing. One action, He satisfies many personalities. So such is the pastime of Lord Shri Krishna, that He finds solutions of all different situations just by His single action. And Lord is all attractive. That's why He is able to attract everyone, right? And we should feel that attraction towards Him. And the simple process of seeking that attraction is calling out to Him. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So when we think of Lord VamanaDeva, we always think of Bali Maharaj. And we also glorify that Bali Maharaj, he is glorified for having surrendered everything at the lotus feet of Lord VamanaDeva. Atma Nivedanam. Shavanam Kirtanam Vishnu Smaranam Pada Sevanam Archanam Vandanam Dasyam Sakyam Atma Nivedanam. So, the 9 processes of devotional service as revealed by Prahlad Maharaj are Shavanam, hearing, Kirtanam, glorifying, chanting, Vishnu, Smaranam, so always remembering Lord Vishnu, Lord Kṛṣṇa, Pada Sevanam, serving His lotus feet, Archanam, by performing deity worship, Vandanam, by singing prayers to the Lordship, Dasyam, by serving His, by being servant to His wishes and instructions, Sakyam, being friend to the Lordship, and Atma Nivedanam, by surrendering everything at His lotus feet. So by Shravan, Parikshit Maharaj, he is the first, he is the one listening to Srimad Bhagavatam from Shukdev Goswami. So he attains perfection just by doing Shravanam, just by hearing one process of the 9 processes, just by glorifying Lord Shri Krishna, but just by reciting Srimad Bhagavatam, Shukdev Goswami attains perfection. Prahlad Maharaj attains perfection by remembering the Lordship, Smaranam, Pada Sevanam, goddess of fortune, goddess Lakshmi, she attains perfection by serving the lotus feet of Lord Shri Krishna, Lord Vishnu. And Vandanam, Akrur, attains perfection by singing prayers to Lord Krishna, for Lord in His glories. And Prithu Maharaj, he attains perfection by worshipping Lord Shri Krishna. And then Hanumanji, Bajrang Bali, he attains perfection by being servant of Lord Krishna in his form as Ramchandra, Lord Ramchandra. And Arjuna attains perfection by being friend to Lord Shri Krishna. And Bali Maharaj, Daityaraj Bali Maharaj, the king of the demons, he attains perfection by surrendering everything to Lord Shri Krishna in his Vamana Rupa, when he appears in his Vamana form. And so that is also very glorious. And Bali Maharaj, there is another glories. He is one of the Mahajanas. Swayambhur Narado Shambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manuhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vaya Sakir Vayam. So Yamraj, he is identifying in the 6th canto, Ajamil's pastime, when the Yamdutas, they have returned, he is identifying that there are 12 Mahajanas. So what are these 12 Mahajanas? Swayambhur Narado Shambhu. Swayambhur is Lord Brahma, Narad, Devashi Narad, Lord Shambhu, Lord Shiva, Sadashiv, Kumara, so the Chatur Kumaras, Sanak Sanatan, Sananda, and Sanat Kumar. So these 4 Kumaras, Kumaru, and then we have Manu, right? This is referring to Swayambhuva Manu, not Vavasvata Manu, but referring to Swayambhuva Manu. He is also one of the Mahana. Swayambhu, Narada Shambhu, Kumaro, Kapilo Manu, Prahlada Janako Bhishmo, Prahlad Maharaj. He is the grandfather of Bali Maharaj. He is also a Mahajana. And then Janak Maharaj, father of Sita Mata. He is also a Mahajana. And he carried out his rules, just prescribed duties so perfectly. He treated his citizens as his own children. So glorious was his, and he is also Mahajana. Prahlad Janko Bhishma, Bhishma Pitamaha, he is also a Mahajana. And then Bali Maharaj's name comes. Bali Vayasakir Vayam. So Bali Maharaj is also a Mahajana. Vayasakir means son of Vyasdev, Shukdev Goswami, he is also a Mahajana. And Vayam is, Yamraj is saying this, and also I. So Yamraji is also one of the 12 Mahajanas. So these are the 12 Mahajanas given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bali Maharaj, his name is also chanted. And whenever there is a marriage ceremony, many couples are listed, are glorified, and Bali Maharaj's name comes over there. He and his wife, they were also glorified there. So VamanaDeva, his appearance is closely associated with Bali Maharaj. So it's very important to understand how did Bali Maharaj attain the mercy of VamanaDeva. Bali Maharaj in his previous birth was actually a very sinful man. He was from a Vaishya community, the mercantile community, and he was addicted to gambling, right, which is one of the sinful activity, and he was attracted to a dancer, a prostitute. So he was performing as a trader many kind of sinful acts, and he would, in the gamble house casinos, he would go and gamble a lot, and sometimes he would win great amount of wealth just by cheating others. And so once he gathered lot of wealth, and he comes out of this. So this particular pastime is given in Skanda Puran, in Kedar Kand, where he is having won so much wealth from a casino, a gambling place. He's going, and normally what happens is evil people, they are at such places, they want to loot away whatever one has won over, right? They're looking, whenever the person is alone in a quiet alley, they would attack, right, in a quiet street or path. They can attack and steal away, take away one's belongings. So he, when he has so much wealth, and he was very sinful at that time, so he thought of enjoying with that prostitute, the dancer. So he went to the flower shop, got platter of flowers and nice offerings and so forth, and he's taking various kind of perfumes and all these to the dancer's home, right? So he's running over there, he's heading over there, and on his way he's attacked by these dacoits who steal away all his belongings, so much so that they steal away, because he was dressed very nicely, silken clothes and all that. They steal away everything except for his kopina, like the underwear. And the flowers and the perfumes and all that stuff was still left behind, so they didn't take that away. And now in this state, being completely in a state of shock and bewildered, he is carrying all these things. Bali Maharaj in his previous birth as this gambler and the sinful man. He is running, and it just so happens that he hits a hard stone and everything falls down, and there is a shivling. So it actually is an unintentional offering that happens to the shivling, and he falls unconscious. He hits hard so ground that he fell unconscious, and when he comes to his consciousness, at that time he laments. He is, he's regretting all the sinful activities that he performed to acquire so much, and everything is stolen. So he's regretting, and in that state of repentance, he dies. He gives up his body. So at that time, Yamdutas, they take him to Yamlok, and there Yamraj is asking Chitragupta, his secretary, about the account of pious and impious activity of this person who was so sinful. And Chitragupta said that, he was so sinful that if he goes to hell, he is going to be there for eternity. He has performed so many sinful acts. However, he has performed one pious act. So because Yamaraj is also one of the Mahajana, he feels compassion towards the conditioned soul. So he says, is there anything that is in his good account of pious activity? He said, yes, unknowingly, unintentionally, he made an offering to Lord Shiva. So that pious activity is in his account. So based on this, Yamaraj, he says, you have this pious account, so, would you like to, enjoy the heavenly planets for this? So at that time, understanding that unknowingly a charity was being performed, something was offered to Lord Shiva. So because of this, and Lord Shiva is Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu, he's the topmost Vaishnava. So because of this, Yamaraj is actually giving me some benefit, that I can spend some time in a heavenly planet. He says, can I be the king of can I be the Indra? Can I take the post of Indra? So based on the pious activity that he had performed, Yamaraj says yes, for 3 ghatikas, one ghatika is 24 minutes. So 24 times 3, that is 72, 1 hour 12 minutes. You can be the Indra. So he sends, this sinful man who had performed, unknowingly, unintentionally, offering to Lord Shiva to be the king of heavenly planets for 1 hour 12 minutes. And he sends a Duta, one of his Yam Duta, messenger, with him, with Bali Maharaj, the living entity. He was in his previous birth, so again, and between the 2 births, right? His previous birth has ended and Bali Maharaj has not yet been born. So the living entity is taken to Indralok. So Bali Maharaj's living entity, he has been identified to be the Indra. So when Indra hears this, he says, no, I do not accept it. But then after having understood the whole situation, he says, okay, I'll take a walk with my associates. I'll go on a walk and he can be an Indra in my absence. So Indra takes a walk with other demigods and his associates. And Bali Maharaj, as a living entity, he's being made Indra for 1 hour 12 minutes. And at that time, Devashi Narad, he appears at the right time at the right place to test the right person. He appears there in the assembly hall of Indra, where Bali Maharaj is actually in his previous, in his transition phase, is made Indra for 1 hour 12 minutes. And he says, oh, this is Shachi, she is the wife of Indra, so you should enjoy with her. And at that time, Bali Maharaj, he had understood the real purpose. He was repenting his sinful activities. He was no more attracted towards this attraction towards the opposite sex. He had actually understood what is the right thing to do. He said, no, I cannot accept her because she is Indra's wife and I'm only Indra for a small duration, but that you are here. And he, he understands that samay kal patra, time, place and circumstances are very important. And one should engage in charity. He had taken this lesson from having visited Yamloka. He had understood that the purpose of life is to engage in sacrifice, charity and austerity. And Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals to Arjuna that when even the great souls, they perform this because it purifies them. So having understood, he was very intelligent. He says, no, I want to perform charity. And he gives all the wealth, all the treasure houses, empty. He empties it by giving charity to the great sages, to the Brahmanas, and so forth. And once his duration of 1 hour 12 minutes of the heavenly planet is over, so that's also heavenly time, not the earthly time, he returns back to Yamlok, with the Yamduta, takes him back. He takes him back to Yamlok. Now, when Indra comes, what does he see? That his treasure house is empty. Everything has been given in charity by this person who came for 3 ghatikas for 1 hour 12 minutes on my throne. So he actually begs back. He says, please give it back. He was just there for a small duration. Now, because of this, there is a reaction that comes to Indra. And this reaction is later becomes visible when Bali Maharaj takes birth as the grandson of Prahlad Maharaj. So now, when he is taken back to Yamlok, Bali Maharaj, before he has taken birth as Bali Maharaj, when the living entity appearing, he is taken back. At that time, at Yamlok, Yamaraj asks Chitragupt, his secretary, so, okay, how much of hellish condition? And then Chitragupt looks at his account. His account is completely changed. He's like, no, he has performed so much charity. We cannot send him such a great personality to the hellish planets. And he is qualified enough to be born as a Daitya, descendant of Diti. So now Bali Maharaj is born as son of Virochana, the son of, who is the son of Prahlad Maharaj. As grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, he takes birth. And he is very great leader from birth itself. He, shines out. And under his leadership, the demons and the Daityas, they are able to attack, Indra and the demigods and drive them out of the heavenly planets. And now Indra is feeling remorse and, he goes to Brahmaji, and Brahmaji, who's the first living entity of this material universe, instruct him to worship Lord Vishnu. So he worships Lord Vishnu, and Lord Vishnu appears, and he says, what do you want? And Indra at that time puts his position that, Bali Maharaj, he has taken over the heavenly planets. How do we regain back? So Lord Vishnu gives them a solution that you should engage in churning of the ocean. Because by churning of the ocean, the nectar would appear. And by drinking the nectar, you will become immortal and very powerful. And for this, you don't have enough strength alone. All your demigods together don't have enough strength. So you have to actually seek truce with Bali Maharaj and seek their help. So understanding this, and Bhagavan Vishnu, Lord Vishnu, he reveals that don't worry, I will help you in getting, and they would get any of the nectar. So Lord Indra, he approaches Bali Maharaj and the Daityas and the demons and puts forth with the demigods this proposition that please engage us in churning of the ocean. And we hear about how with the churning of the ocean, nectar comes, and how Lord Vishnu appears as Mohini Murti and cheats away, cheats the demons and distributes this nectar to the demigods, right? And now, as soon as it is revealed, right, that it was none other than Lord Vishnu who appeared in the form of Vishnu Murti, the Mohini Murti, who cheats the demons, there's a great fight that ensues. And in this great fight, Bali Maharaj and many of the demons, they are killed. And on the instructions of Shukracharya, they are taken, the dead bodies are taken, and the broken limbs and everything is taken to Ashtam mountain. So where Shukracharya, with his ritualistic performances, he is able to bring back to life Bali Maharaj and the other demons who had been killed at the battlefield. And now Bali Maharaj becomes highly grateful to his spiritual master. So he forgets all other aspirations, and he just wants to serve his spiritual master. And Shukracharya is descendant of Bhrigu Muni, one of the great 7 sages. So, and the descendants of Bhrigu, Shukracharya and his family members, they become very pleased. Yet, Yasya prasadat bhagavad prasado, Yasya prasadat gati kutonapi. So when one satisfies the spiritual master, one has also satisfied Lord Kṛṣṇa. So by satisfying spiritual master, one can easily satisfy the Supreme Lord, Supreme Personality of Godhead. But one who is not able to satisfy the spiritual master cannot satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead. That is being glorified here. That he satisfies, Bali Maharaj satisfies his spiritual master so much that Shukracharya, he wants to, please his disciple. So this is a loving exchange, giving of, desirable things. So Shukracharya, he performs Vishwajit Yagya, keeping Bali Maharaj as the host of this Yagya. And from this Yagya appears a chariot, an effulgent chariot, equipped with divine weapons, especially the 2 quivers of arrows, with these divine arrows, and the quiver will never be empty. And at that time, Prahlad Maharaj, he comes, grandfather of Bali Maharaj, and he garlands Bali Maharaj with this eternally fresh flowers. And Shukracharya gives Bali Maharaj the conch shell, right? Because when he goes for the, to declare war against Indra, he would blow this conch, so he gives him this conch. Everything is given in Srimad Bhagavatam. So Bali Maharaj, he goes, he gathers this great army of the demigods. And yes, we will be talking about the appearance of VamanaDeva. So we are coming to that point. And with this great army, seated on this chariot, a fulgent chariot, he is shining like millions of suns. And when Indra looks at Bali Maharaj with his army, he is shocked. First he is shocked that he had killed Bali Maharaj, that he has come back to life. He has, he's come back to life. Well, he had not taken any of the nectar. So he is not immortal, but he is surprised, and he is glowing like millions of suns. So now Indra in this, he's bewildered, he's anxious. So he, along with the demigods, he goes to his spiritual master, Brihaspati. He goes to Sage Brihaspati and says that, Bali Maharaj is shining like thousands of millions of suns, and he's come back to life, and how is this happening? So Sage Brahaspati, he smiles, he says, oh, Bali Maharaj has actually satisfied his spiritual master. So having satisfied his spiritual master, he is able to perform Vishwajit Yagya. So he can conquer the whole universe and nobody can defeat him. So you are not in a position to defeat him. So you demigods should immediately vacate with your families, immediately vacate all the heavenly planets, and you should hide incognito in the material universes, in this material universe, in different planets, different, in Earth and other places. So having received these instructions, Indra Deva along with other demigods, they vacate the heavenly planets. So not having, even raised an arrow, Bali Maharaj, without any effort, he is able to win over the heavenly planets, and he becomes the ruler. Yet at the same time, he is a very righteous person, right? So he is grandson of Prahlad Maharaj, a great devotee. So he is very righteous. He understands that one who has performed 100 Ashwamedh Yagyas should be the Indra of the heavenly planet. So he requests in this manner to his spiritual master that please engage me in performing Ashwamedh Yagyas. And hearing this, Shukracharya is very pleased. And Shukracharya engages. So when Shukracharya is pleased, there are two reasons Shukracharya is pleased. One is that, such righteous is my disciple, he is feeling as a spiritual master. The second aspect is, he is also feeling that when he will perform these yagyas, he will give charity to the brahmanas. So we will get a lot of offerings, lot of charity from Bali Maharaj. And since he is the proprietor, he is the ruler of this universe, right, heavenly planets and everything, then we will get amazing, opulent charity. So that was also an attractive mood in which Shukracharya, is going on. Now what is happening with Aditi? She is feeling remorse that when she comes to the heavenly planet, what does she see? That king of the planets, how the heavenly planet is, Bali Maharaj, a Daitya, a descendant of my younger sister and my husband, Kashyapa Muni. Their descendants are reigning in the heavenly planets. And all my sons, right? Vivaswan is the eldest son of Aditi. He's not there. My 11th son, Indradev, the king of the demigods, is not there. And they are all, wandering incognito in different planets. They're hiding themselves, because they're afraid of being killed by these Daityas, the sons of Ditis. So she is very sad. She is feeling this sad as a mother. Mothers are very affectionate towards their children. And if the children is going through very hard times, mothers feel great remorse and they want to help their children. So Aditi becomes very sad, very remorseful, yet at the same time, she doesn't know what to do, because Kashyapa Muni is not in his ashram, right, in her ashram. So Kashyapa Muni, he goes in meditation, he performs various kind of ritualistic activities. He's one of the progenitors, of this universe. So when he comes, he sees that the whole ashram, the whole residence and of Aditi is in disarray. Everything is scattered. No one is paying attention to cleanliness. No one is paying attention. It's like, how is this happening? People are not performing their regular duties. Everything is in disarray. Everything is disorganized. Everything is falling apart. And then when he sees his wife, he understands why that is so. He sees that she is not even taking care of herself, her body. She is seems to be constantly crying. Her tears, for many, many nights she has been crying, and she is very sad. She is remorseful, and So he tries to being very affectionate towards his wife. She says, "Oh, my dear, what has happened? Why are you in this state? How can you, what is going on? How can I help you come out of this state? I want to see you cheerful," right? Husband wants to see his wife always happy, cheerful, rejoicing, in their company. And so she reveals that she is feeling so sad because all her sons have been driven away from the heavenly planets, and they are, hiding incognito. And so understanding this as a reason, Kashyapa Muni says, "Oh, you should perform this ritualistic ceremony, Piyavrata." So this is a fasting process where various other incantations have to be carried out in glorification of Lord Shri Krishna. You should worship, Lord Vishnu. So here, and the fasting is done during this particular ceremony, and one sustains only on milk and milk products. So she, having taken this at her heart, and being such a devoted and loving mother, she carries it out for 12 days, and after 12 days, Lord Vishnu appears. And because she was also feeling so much remorse towards the Daityas, the descendants of Diti, her first request to Lord Vishnu says that, what would you like? She says, please annihilate all the Daityas. And Lord Vishnu, he smiles, and with his smile he denies that request. And then she says, okay, actually I would want my sons, right, to be reestablished in their position as the presiding deities, like my 11th son Indra, to regain his position as the king of the demigods and return back to his heavenly planets and rule there and so forth. So Lord Vishnu says, yes, I would appear as your son, as your 12th son, and then I will be able to reestablish. So now this is like twice the boon, right? First, his son will become the ruler again. On top of that, Lord would appear from her womb. So again, this is happening because when Sutapa and Prishni Garbha, they had worshipped Lord Vishnu, he had appeared as their son. That's why he is also glorified as Prishni Garbha. And now this is the second birth where he appears as the son of Kashyapa Muni and Aditi. His name is Upendra, and he is in the Vaman form. So that's why he is also known as VamanaDeva. So when on the 12th day, so today is the appearance day of Lord VamanaDeva, he appears, and Vaman means midget. So he appears in this midget form. And first he appears in his four-arm Vishnu form. Within his forearm, what is he carrying in each of his arms, in each of his hands? He is carrying conch shell in one hand. He is carrying lotus flower Padma in his another hand. He is carrying chakra, Sudarshan chakra in his third, and then Kaumudaki Gada. Gada, chakra, Padma. So these are the four things he is holding. So he is appearing, he has this dark complexion, he is wearing silken clothes, and Lord Brahma and all the demigods, they are singing glories of Lord Vishnu. So Lord Krishna, as he appearing in this form, as son of Aditi and Kashyapa Muni. And at that time, then he takes the form of VamanaDeva. So just like similarly when he appears in his third, birth, so Kashyapa Muni, he again reincarnates as Vasudeva. And Aditi's, again, living entities can expand up to 9 times. So yes, she is still there, Aditi, and one of her expansion is, as incarnation is Devaki. So in the form of Devaki and Vasudeva, their son is Lord Krishna himself in the jail of Kamsa at Mathura. When he appears, first he appears in Vishnu form, and then he appears in a baby form. Similarly, here on VamanaDeva appearance day, he appears first in his forearm form to declare, yes, this is none other than Lord Krishna, Lord Vishnu. Lord Krishna and Lord Vishnu, they are not different. Lord Vishnu is Lord Krishna at work. Lord Krishna is, always in Golok Vrindavan. He never steps out of Golok Vrindavan. And he is having wonderful loving exchanges with his eternal associates there. So here, when he appears, all the demigods are singing prayers and great celebration is being performed. And then comes the thread ceremony of Lord VamanaDeva, the 12th son of Aditi and Sage Kashyap, also known as Upendra. His name is Upendra. Upendra also means younger brother of Indra. So on his thread ceremony, it is very nicely described that Suryadev Vivaswan, he sings the Gayatri mantra. Lord Brahma gives the thread, Janeu. He gives the thread for this ceremony. Mother Earth, Bhumi Devi, she gives the Mrigchala, the deer skin. So here I am looking at this picture, it's such a beautiful picture. Varun Dev, the demigod of the ocean, he gives the umbrella. So again, there's various things. Yamraj, he gives the stick, danda. So the stick is being given. Kuvera gives the kamandalu. So the kamandalu that we see is given by the treasure of the demigods, Kuvera. And beads, Rudraksh is also being offered. And his father, Kashyapa Muni, he gives the straw belt in this form. So again, and Mother Aditi gives the cloth for the Kupina, right? That is being given. And so in this form, carrying the umbrella, he's looking very effulgent. And he heads towards Bhrigu-Kacha. Bhrigu-Kacha is in the northern part of Narmada River, which is in Madhya Pradesh region in India. So here, Bhrigu-Kacha is a place where the descendants of Bhrigu, they perform various sacrificial ceremonies, or rituals. So here what is happening? They're performing a great yajna on behalf of Bali Maharaja. So there VamanaDeva goes, and he's looking so effulgent, so attractive, that everyone's effulgence is diminished when they see Lord VamanaDeva. All their effulgence, all their attractiveness, everything is diminished in the presence of Lord VamanaDeva. And Bali Maharaj has a younger sister, Ratnamala. When she sees Lord VamanaDeva in this boy-like, midget form, he's looking so attractive, she immediately has this desire, oh, I would want him, to be his mother. I want, desire to be his mother. I want him to be my son. I want to feed him milk. So when she has this desire, and anyone who has pure desire from the pure heart, Lord grants that desire. So Lord VamanaDeva immediately, from heart to heart, he grants her desire. That yes, you will be my mother in one of my next births. Now, it's very interesting that as he reaches the arena, there Bali Maharaj, he gets up and he offers a very nice seat to Lord VamanaDeva. He worships Lord VamanaDeva. And after washing the feet of Lord VamanaDeva, he sprinkles that water on his head and on the head of his family members. And he asks, what should I give you in charity? Because that Skand Puran incident, his spiritual master has already revealed to him, Shukracharya, that charity is important. But Shukracharya's purpose was, because if he is very charitable, then we'll get a lot of charity. That is his purpose. So it's also very interesting to understand that Shukracharya was seeking so much, keeping himself in the center. And he was using all these Vedic rituals for his satisfaction. While Lord Kṛṣṇa in Bhagavad Gita has revealed why various sacrifices should be performed. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram surhidam sarva bhutanam gyatva mam shantimrichati. Bhoktaram yagyatapasam. So who's the beneficiary of all the sacrifices? Lord Vishnu. Lord Kṛṣṇa is revealing that I am the beneficiary of all sacrifices. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, and I am the proprietor. Lord Kṛṣṇa is the proprietor of all the material and spiritual universes, he is revealing. And he is the best friend, the benefactor, well-wisher of all living entities, not just us humans, but also of trees, birds, aquatics, mountains, hills, and so forth. All these are living entities, And so he is, and not of this material universe, once again, he's the best friend. So he's one who understands these three aspects is peaceful at heart, can attain peace. So this verse is also known as peace formula. So Shukracharya is performing various ritualistic activities for sense gratification perspective, either for his disciple Bali Maharaj or his various other disciples, or for his own satisfaction. And he's getting charity. That's also one of his, attraction he has. And Lord Kṛṣṇa reveals in Bhagavad Gita that of all the people who are expert in performing, Vedic sacrifices, chanting of the mantras, I am Shukracharya. So he is identifying his best in all. So he is even glorifying Shukracharya, who performs all the ritualistic ceremonies so expertly, so, very well, that they are, successfully yielding the results. But these are fruitive activities, right, being used because there is mood of sense gratification. for enjoyment, for my own enjoyment. That mood is there. So aham mameti, I and mine. We understand from I, when one is thinking that I am this body, envy develops. Because one becomes envious of other people who have higher position. I am so and so, he's higher than that, how could I get that position? And mameti is mine, which drives lust. So one is always seeking to acquire more and more in this material world. Srila Prabhupada, when he went to Japan and he was having this negotiation for Bhagavad Gita as it is, to be printed, he was meeting with many of the officials at this place. And afterwards, these officials, they left the room to discuss among themselves regarding the pricing and the negotiation and so forth. They left the junior most person out there. And they have this culture of, stacking up the business cards of all the people. And the topmost person's business card is on top, and the next person and so forth. And the lowest person, his business card in the stack is at the bottom. So Srila Prabhupada was just curious to ask. So he asked this person who was sitting there that, what is your goal? What do you want to be? So what he did was, this person, he picked up his card which was at the bottom, picked it up and placed it on top, right? So this is like envious nature. He wants to become the CEO of the company. That was very much evident. It's a demonic mindset, but this is where it is when someone is looking for fruitive activities, does not understand the purpose of the Vedas. They are bewildered, in this case. And they always seek to acquire highest position and all the opulent things for their sense gratification. So Shukracharya, he is an expert in performing all these ritualistic ceremonies. And there, when VamanaDeva appears, Bali Maharaja is worshipping him, and asking him, what would you like to receive in charity? He's ready to give in charity. And VamanaDeva, what does he say? He says, I need land that's I can cover in 3 paces, 3 steps of land. And Bali Maharaj, he's surprised. So now he says, I can give you immense wealth, I can give you many cows, I can give you a dweep. A dweep actually refers to not just an island, but also it refers to a planet. So I can even give you a planet, what to talk about. I can give you a great amount of land. You're a baby, like you're a midget. You have a short form, so your steps will also be so small. What will the 3 paces of land get you? It's basically in a way saying that, do you know who I am? I am a Chakravarti Samrat, right? I am the ruler of this universe. You should ask for something, matching my capability. In a way, he's actually in that mood, it seems to come out. VamanaDeva, he says, now he is giving instructions to Bali Maharaj that if I am not satisfied by 3 paces of land, the charity I have asked for, then I will not be satisfied even by receiving a planet and all the things that you are telling me. So he's actually giving instructions to Bali Maharaj that you have to be first satisfied in your heart. And Bali Maharaj is reminded of the instruction that Prahlad Maharaj gave to his father Hiranyakashipu, that one who has not won over his mind, one who is not satisfied in himself, he should immediately leave everything and go to the jungle. So Bali Maharaj is appreciating this, and he has no response to VamanaDeva's instructions. He is actually feeling that how wonderful it is that this Brahman boy is giving me such wonderful instructions that one has to be satisfied. Yet at the same time, when Bali Maharaj is having this conversation and appreciating VamanaDeva, Shukracharya is thinking that there is something else going on, right? So, and then with his yogic power, with his mystic potencies, he is able to understand that this is none other than Lord Vishnu has appeared in VamanaDeva as VamanaDeva. And he is going to cheat away everything from Bali Maharaj. And he is now fearful that if Bali Maharaj, everything is taken away from Bali Maharaj, that means nothing will be left for me to enjoy. So he immediately puts Bali Maharaj away. Before Bali Maharaj is ready to make that, in a way he had already promised that yes, he will give whatever VamanaDeva is asking. Yet he is pulled away by his spiritual master Shukracharya. And Shukracharya reveals to Bali Maharaj, he addresses, "O son of Virochana, this VamanaDeva is none other than Lord Vishnu. He is going to take away everything what you have. In his very first step, he will take away all the way up to the heavenly planets. In the second step, he will cover the whole universe. You will be left with nothing after the second step. So how will you satisfy the third step? So he's telling. Now, when Shukracharya is saying, O son of Virochana, there is also a story behind son of Prahlad, who was the Virochana, who's father of Bali Maharaja. That demigods had appeared. He was Virochana. King Virochana was so, benevolently disposed towards the Brahmanas that he would give in charity whatever they desired. So demigods, knowing this characteristic of King Virochana, they came to him in the disguise of a Brahmana. And even though he knew that they had come in the disguise of a Brahman, King Virochana asked them, what can I give you in charity? And at that time, Indra and other demigods, they said, why don't you give your life in charity to us? So he gave up his life. And such was the glory. So when Shukracharya is actually telling him, son of Virochana, Shukracharya's intention is that don't be a fool like your father. But Bali Maharaj, when he hears, he is reminded of the magnanimous act his father performed. So he is not taking from the view Shukracharya is explaining. So beauty is in the eye of beholder. So even the context changes. Bali Maharaj is reminded that my father was so benevolently disposed towards the Brahmanas. So how can I say no? And of all the people, this is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Kṛṣṇa himself has come. Namo Brahmanaya Devaya Go Brahmanaya Hitaya Cha Jagat Hitaya Kṛṣṇaya Govindaya Namo Namaha. So we sing glories of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. He is always, benevolently disposed towards the Brahmanas, and he is the supreme proprietor of all the material and spiritual universes. Actually, everything belongs to him. Bali Maharaj knew that. I have only this body. Once I relinquish the body, I lose everything with this body, associated with this body. And this is none other than Lord Vishnu who has come to beg charity from me. So he is even more encouraged than before. And he is not even thinking that whether he will be able to fulfill his vow, right? Whether he will be able to meet the requirements of that 3 paces of land. And Shukracharya has already revealed, but he is actually feeling very excited. Bali Maharaj is feeling very excited. But Shukracharya is feeling very remorse. And he understands that my disciple is completely distracted right now. He is too excited to even listen to me. So he curses his disciple. And actually Bali Maharaj, seeing that my spiritual master is taking me away from, taking shelter of Lord Vishnu, so he is no more my spiritual master. Now you have to understand, Bali Maharaj, he was able to get his life back because of the mercy of his spiritual master Shukracharya. Yet at the same time, he gave up Shukracharya even in this position and accepted a very dangerous position. Being aware that it's a very dangerous position, he accepted it just for the pleasure of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So that is what is glorious. So he comes back and he accepts that yes, I'm ready to take on this vow, ready to chant the mantra and give you 3 paces of land. Now the Kamandalu, now Shukracharya is feeling that, okay, if he gives everything away, there will be nothing left for me, and my descendants, my family members, to receive in charity. So he puts one of his eye as a blocker to the nozzle of the Kamandalu, so that no water will come out, and if the time will pass, the charitable moment passes, then he will not be able to give in charity. And even though Shukracharya had already told him that it is okay to lie, there is no sinful reaction in different situations, and this is one of those situations. He had actually previously informed. So sometimes people ask, what are those 5 situations where someone can lie, or 4 situations when someone can lie and there won't be sinful reaction? So those are exceptions, right? Don't make it a habit, because making a habit and using them to your advantage again and again is not good, because it does malign our heart, and a malign heart collects anarthas. The weeds grow and they inhibit the growth of Bhakti Lata Bij. So one should be very, very careful not to allow and take to these practices. Yet at the same time, for the sake of this coverage, it is important for us to at least cover them. So when someone is having danger of one's life, so at that time one can lie. And this is almost the similar situation, because Bali Maharaj, he would be endangering his life as well as everyone else around him, because he will not be able to meet the vow. So that is one situation. Second is when one is applying for a job, going for a job interview, one can lie. So that is related to occupation. Third is when someone for marriage ceremony. So again, one can lie when they are trying to talk about their daughter's potencies and so forth, so that she can get married or their son can get married, that position. And traders, the Vaishya community, the mercantile community, they can lie when they are making a trade exchange. So those are the situations. And of course, in case of life, which is this situation, one can lie. So Shukracharya said, and also that you have not started with Om, the pranam mantra. So what you have said, it is not going to be a lie, because it's not a full lie. Even though in your heart of heart you have accepted that you want to give in charity, but you can still deny that. Yet at the same time, Bali Maharaj, he rejects his spiritual master, because his spiritual master is not performing the duty of a spiritual master, but taking his disciple to accept the shelter of Lord Kṛṣṇa. So that is the duty of a spiritual master, and the duty of a disciple is to satisfy his spiritual master. And he says that, yes, in this particular situation, I cannot satisfy you because you have given up your duties. We saw a similar incident in the case of Vasishtha Muni and Maharaj Nimi. So we covered as part of Uddhav Gita as how they, Maharaj Nimi rejected his spiritual master and actually cursed his spiritual master. So because the spiritual master was seeking personal interest, not the interest of the disciple, so that the disciple can advance spiritually. So here, Bali Maharaj, he is ready to take the vow. So Shukracharya uses one of his eyes to block that opening to the Kamandalu, so that the water would not come out. And VamanaDeva, Lord Upendra, he uses a straw to pierce the eye to remove the blockage. And Shukracharya, his eye starts bleeding, his eyeball bursts. And that is being also identified in Skanda Purana and other Shastras, in the Puranas. So here, Bali Maharaj, he takes this vow that, yes, I give you 3 steps of land in charity. And suddenly, as soon as this vow is taken, Lord VamanaDeva's body increases and his head goes all the way to the Satyalok. He has attained this gigantic form. This form is also glorified by the name Trivikrama. 3 refers to the 3 steps. Vikram is the magnanimous, majestic form. So Lord, with his first step, even though Shukracharya said that in the first step he will cover all the way to the heavenly planets, it is clearly given that he covers planet Earth, Bhumi. And then in his second steps, he covers the whole of universe to the end of the universe. He penetrates the membrane of the universe, the boundary of the universe, so that the water flows in, right? The Karbhuda oceans, water. And this ocean, water washes the feet of Lord VamanaDeva in this Trivikrama form. And it's collected as Ganges by Lord Brahma. So that's why Ganges water is opulent. Hare Kṛṣṇa, dear devotees. Due to technical difficulties, we got interrupted. So I was covering how Bali Maharaj, he took the vow to give 3 pieces of land to VamanaDeva. And Lord VamanaDeva, his body started increasing in this magnanimous form that his head was reaching the Satyaloka. And in his very first step, he covered the planet Earth. Second step, he reached to the end of the universe, and his toenail penetrated the outer covering of the universe. So the water flew in, and that water, having washed his lotus feet, is Ganges water, right? The river Ganges. So river Ganges water is Charnamrit, because it washed the lotus feet of Lord VamanaDeva. And that's why the Ganges water is glorified, that it has the potency of purifying one of all the sinful reactions, having washed the lotus feet of Lord VamanaDeva. And Lord Shiva accepts this Ganges water, which washed the lotus feet of Lord Vishnu, on his head. Vaishnava Nam Yatha Shambhu. Of all the Vaishnavas, Lord Shiva is the topmost Vaishnava. So here, one other thing that happened is, when this Trivikrama form, when Lord appeared, and the second step, he has penetrated the membrane, the outer covering of the universe, Jambavan. He had this boon that he will have this, he would be able to witness all the Lord's appearances and have an inner seat in his appearances, right? Box of his seat. So he is able to see, and when he sees Lord in this Trivikrama form, penetrating the membrane of the universe, the outer covering of the universe, he circumambulates the Lord. He's got so much power, so strong he is, that he does parikrama, circumambulation of Lord Trivikrama. And it was because he became so full of pride, while returning back, he kicks Meru mountain. And Meru says, oh, just because I am old, you're kicking me, trying to show your prowess, you become old. And he became old. So when at the southern tip of India, when there was this point that who is going to jump over to Lanka and come back, Jambavan said, actually, I could, when Trivikrama form was there, I could even circumambulate. I was so powerful, I could circumambulate across the whole universe. But now I am old because of the curse of Meru mountain, so I cannot even cross over to Lanka. But I know a person who can, and he revealed that it is Hanuman, who has Ashtasiddhis, so he can cross over and come back. Anga said he can only jump to Lanka and then he will be completely exhausted, he cannot return back. But Hanuman will be able to return back. So that was revealed. So Jambavan is glorified as a great leader. So here that happens. And now having taken everything, now everything has been taken away from Bali Maharaj by Lord VamanaDeva in his Trivikrama form in the first 2 steps. And now Lord VamanaDeva is asking, where should I put my 3rd step? And at that point, being signaled by Lord VamanaDeva, Garud, he appears, and by using the snakes of Varun Dev, demigod of the ocean, the waters, he binds Bali Maharaj in the shackles of this, Nagpash, right, of the snakes of Varun Dev. So the ropes of Varun Dev, they are also referred to as ropes of Varun Dev. He ties up the hands and the body of Bali Maharaj. So he is like standing like a prisoner, his hands tied on the back, his head is bowing down, and he is being asked that you have not been able to fulfill your vow, so you are a criminal, you are a sinful person. And all the demigods, they come and they are like, taking charge of things on the sacrificial arena. And all the Daityas and the demons, they are ready to fight. Yet at the same time, Bali Maharaj signals them, no, otherwise, do not fight. This is, my situation, and I have accepted this position. To be belittled in this condition, to be tormented in this condition, to be abused with such harsh words. He is showing his tolerance. So that's why, even though Bali Maharaj is, identified Atma Nivedanam, he attains perfection by surrendering everything to the Lordship. But even more glorious than that, being surrendering everything, is being identified that he is surrendering everything with what mood? In the mood of humility, of tolerance. And the tolerance is the characteristic that we should learn from Bali Maharaj. Tranadapi shunichena tarurapi saishnuna amanena manadena kirtaniya sadahari. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu reveals in Shashtaka, the 3rd verse, as one should be more humble than the grass on the street, more tolerant than the tree, always ready to give all the respects to others, but not expecting any respect from others. In this mood, in this particular, with this attitude, one can constantly to engage in devotional service for eternity. Kirtaniya Sadahari, one can glorify the Lord, chant the holy name, all, forever and ever. So again, this is also very important for us to learn. And here, Bali Maharaj, his head bowed down. His mother and his wife, they said that this is very rightly done. Right? Because he was thinking that he is the ruler of all these universes and all those things, so he was becoming very proud. So now his pride has been smashed. So they are actually not from a materialist perspective, they are not looking, they are actually devotees of the Lord. So they are saying that Lord has properly crushed the pride of Bali Maharaj, which is actually a great benediction to him. And at that time, Prahlad Maharaj comes on the sacrificial arena, and he sees Bali Maharaj in being, Prahlad Maharaj is grandfather of Bali Maharaj. Prahlad Maharaj is, Prahlad Maharaj's son was Virochana, and Virochana's son is Bali Maharaj. So he sees Bali Maharaj in clutches, and he comes to know that Bali Maharaj, has taken this vow to give 3 paces of land. And when he sees, first of all, before even coming to know this, when Prahlad Maharaj sees Lord VamanaDeva in his Trivikrama form, he is feeling all the ecstatic symptoms in his body, and he worships the Lord very opulently. Then he comes to know that Bali Maharaj is in shackles, being tied by the ropes of Varun Dev, and who's tying him? Garun. The carrier of Lord Vishnu is tying him, as if he's a prisoner, he's a sinful man ready to be punished. Because he took this vow to give 3 paces of land, he has not been able to meet the conditions. He has only been able to offer the 2 steps of land, and the 3rd step is still pending. So at that time, Prahlad Maharaj, he goes to Bali Maharaj and says, I consider you more fortunate than me. You are so much more fortunate that you have been able to give Lord something, right? To be able to be in a position where Lord came to you for charity. When Prahlad Maharaj, he was remembering the Lord in a loving mood, Lord came to give protection to Prahlad Maharaj. It was Prahlad Maharaj on the receiving end, and Lord was on the giving end. He is saying, Bali Maharaj, you, my grandson, you are more fortunate because you are on the giving end, and the Lordship is on the receiving end. That is the true mood as we see from the Sad Goswamis. The 6 Goswamis of Vrindavan, their mood, and the mood of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu is, the mood of a devotee is to give, not to take. To accept, yes, but more to serve. That's why Srila Prabhupada always instructed us that we should be always serving the Lordship. We are the order suppliers to satisfy Lord Shri Krishna. Not seeking that, oh Lord, give me a beach, a home by the beach, and a beautiful wife, and so many cars and houses and so forth, and so much treasure and nice position. That is not the mood of a devotee. The mood is, how can I serve you? That is the prayer. That is the prayer we sing every morning. That is the prayer we should be singing every morning, evening, afternoon, at night, and even in our dreams. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, my dear Lord Shri Krishna, oh Mother Hara, please engage me in your loving devotional service so that I satisfy you, I serve you, I give you the pleasure. Goddess, Radha Adi, she is Lord's Haladani Shakti, his pleasure-giving potency. And being her sons, we are also giving pleasure. Srila Prabhupada said Ananda is because of relationship. And in the act of devotion, it has been elaborated extensively, that it is with relationship one, has pleasure. One derives pleasure. That's why Lord Krishna further expands into his Swamsha and Vibhinamshas, so that he can have these loving exchanges with us and with his close associates, because that's what gives him pleasure. And this is like over 75 years of study by Harvard. They finally came to the same conclusion, that it is by having loving, nourishing relationship one becomes happy. So this is a research on happiness. How can one become happy? And we knew it from the very beginning. From the Shastras it has been revealed to us. We have understood that, yes. And this is the very basis why Srila Prabhupada established ISKCON, International Society for Krishna Consciousness, where devotees can meet with each other and engage in 6 kinds of loving exchanges. Dadati pratigrahanati guhyam akhyati prichati bhunjate bhojate chaiva sadvidum priti lakshanam. So what are the 6 symptoms of loving exchanges? Priti lakshanam. Dadati pratigrahanati, giving of gifts and accepting gifts. Guhyam akhyati prichati, inquiring about secret subject matters, which are glorifications of Lordship and his associates and devotees, and inquiring about as well as sharing those pastimes of Lordship and his devotees. And bhunjate bhojate cheva, offering of prasadam and accepting prasadam. Now, Srila Prabhupada always used the word accepting, because we should be in this mood of accepting, as if it has been taken as a charity, not taking, right? Taking is like taking away. That is not the mood of a devotee, rather accepting, and more in the mood of giving always. And only person who has Krishna's mercy can give Krishna's mercy. And we know it from a very beautiful pastime of Srila Prabhupada. Once he was at an Indian gentleman's home where this gentleman gave Lord Krishna's small deity form to Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada accepted it. And as he was standing with various many of his disciples, Saraswati, daughter of His Grace Shyamsundar Prabhu and Her Grace, Malti Mataji, she was there, and devotees, they were like, moving the deity, the small deity form of Krishna around, passing, and Malti was, not Malti, Saraswati, the baby Saraswati was running, and she was toddler at that time, running to get the deity, and then they were like hiding it, and finally they passed it to Srila Prabhupada, and then somebody asked this question, oh, who has Krishna? And Saraswati, the baby Saraswati, she immediately jumped up and she said, yes, Srila Prabhupada had Krishna, Srila Prabhupada had Krishna. And everybody understood the deep mood she had in this child form as well. Because Srila Prabhupada has Krishna, he has Krishna's mercy, so he can give Krishna to us. And he gives us Krishna in form of Srimad Bhagavatam. So it has been translated by Srila Prabhupada, Srimad Bhagavatam. And Srimad Bhagavatam is not different from Krishna. He also propagated the chanting of the holy name, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. So yes, one who has Krishna can give Krishna. One who has received mercy of Krishna can give Krishna. So here, Prahlad Maharaj is glorifying Bali Maharaj, that you are in the mood of giving, right? So you are even more fortunate than me. And yet at the same time, this is encouraging to Bali Maharaj. He is in this mood being chained, right? He is in shackles, yet at the same time, he is feeling that fortunate state. And Lord VamanaDeva wants to glorify this tolerance as a great quality of Bali Maharaj, and through his heart, he gives him the instruction as how to fulfill the vow, that statement that he has given to give the 3 pieces of land. So this is being revealed in Bhagavad Gita. Sarvasya chaham hridaya sannivishto matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha vedescha sarverahamiva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham. Sarvasya chaham hridaya sannivishto. Lord Krishna is telling Arjuna that I am sitting in the heart of every living entity. Matta smriti jnanam apohanam cha. From me comes smriti, is remembrance. Jnanam, knowledge, and apohanam is forgetfulness. Vedesya sarveraham eva vedyo vedanta kridveda videva chaham. So I am the knower of the Vedas, right? And the purpose of the Vedas is to know me. So he is revealing that. So again, from the heart, he is revealing to Bali Maharaj how to fulfill that vow. And Bali Maharaj at that time says to VamanaDeva, who's present externally, that please, my dear Lord, this body of mine still belongs to me. Place your 3rd step on my head. So he is glorified. And at that time, this is purely, now this is where Atma Nivedam, everything, even his body, he offered to Lord VamanaDeva for his satisfaction. So now his yajna is automatically full because Lord is fully satisfied. The vow has been properly carried out. And as soon as demigods, they hear this, they are able to regain their heavenly planets. But imagine this, Indra is feeling that his heavenly planet has been given back to him as part of charity. It has been received as a charity from Bali Maharaj. So he is the charitable one and I am on the receiving end. My younger brother, Lord, had to appear and beg in charity from Bali Maharaj, the planet that I am receiving. So all this cycle has happened because of that reaction that Indra had previously asked the sages to return back in charity what they had received. So even he is receiving in charity from Lord Vishnu. So, and here now Lord VamanaDeva is giving many blessings to Bali Maharaj. He is glorifying Bali Maharaj. He is no more in shackles. And he is being glorified by Lord VamanaDeva. He is first of all saying that, yes, you have given, but I am giving you Sutala planet. And now the glories of Sutala planet are being identified. That Sutala planet, even though it is just above Patal, right? Patal is the lowest, the hellish planet, is one of the hellish planets. And in the planetary systems, we also hear in 5th canto, in the last chapter, 24th, where there are 28 hellish planets are being discussed below Patal planet. And there are so many hellish conditions, people are tormented. But Sutala planet, which is just above that, is more opulent than the heavenly planet of Indra. And who's the architect for this planet? Vishwakarma. And whose instruction is Vishwakarma, creating all the arrangements and all the amazing palaces and the, towns and the lakes and ponds, everything in this planet, under the instructions of none other than Lord Kṛṣṇa, Lord Vishnu. So it is more opulent than the heavenly planets, thousands of times more opulent than the heavenly planet of Lord Indra. So there he says you should go and reside with all your family members and all your associates. So all the demons along with all the Daityas and Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj takes everyone at Sutala planet. And furthermore, the blessing is that Lord VamanaDeva says that you have not just, fulfill your vow, you actually won me. You have, win over me. You have, won my heart. So I will be the guard at your gate. So he is the guard at Sutala planet. So he accepts that. Now Bali Maharaj, when he goes to Sutala planet, the glories of VamanaDeva continues. Bali Maharaj gets to worship VamanaDeva every day. So he is in complete bliss. He is complete transcendence. Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj with the family members, they are worshipping VamanaDeva every day. Now it just happens that Goddess of Fortune, she goes to Vaikuntha to see her husband, Lord Vishnu. And what does she see? Lord Vishnu is not there. She starts searching for her husband. Where is he gone? She comes to know that he has taken the form of VamanaDeva and he is the guard at Sutala planet. Now she wants to regain her husband back. She's feeling, like, how could it be that he is serving a Daitya in a material universe? So she goes to Sutala planet and she is, disguised as a lady, and she's telling Bali Maharaj that she's looking for her husband, and if it's okay, she continues to look on Sutala planet. Bali Maharaj says, sure, why not? And every day she is seeing how opulently Prahlad Maharaj, Bali Maharaj, all the family members, all the Daityas means sons of Diti, right? All of them are worshipping VamanaDeva, and how wonderfully VamanaDeva is accepting their, offerings, and how happy he is. And she's like, it's not possible for me to just take away my husband, Lord Vishnu, who is in this form of Lord VamanaDeva. So one day she approaches Bali Maharaj and she says, actually, I would like to honor you as my brother. And, and as a sister, I would like to ask you for your protection, right? So this is where Raksha Bandhan festival starts. So Raksha Bandhan ceremony starts where Goddess of Fortune, she coronates, Bali Maharaj as a brother, and she ties Rakhi, right? The thread that a sister ties on the hand on the wrist of her brother. And the brother takes the vow that he would provide her protection. So Bali Maharaj takes that vow, yes, I will provide protection to you. And what would you like to receive in charity? So where Goddess of Fortune is giving charity to all the materialists, Bali Maharaj is telling Goddess of Fortune, what should I give you in charity? And at that time, Goddess of Fortune, she immediately asked, please return me my husband. Bali Maharaj is surprised that she's asking me to return her husband. So he says, yes, I will help you in finding your husband. She says, no, it is VamanaDeva who is my husband. And she reveals that she is Goddess of Fortune. So this is the second time Bali Maharaj, as if he's been cheated. Yet he is so magnanimous that he gives, allows VamanaDeva to return back as Lord Vishnu to the Vaikuntha planet. So it is not just that he gives in charity to Lord Vishnu, who appears as Lord VamanaDeva. He's not giving charity just to Lord Kṛṣṇa, who appears as Lord VamanaDeva. He's actually giving second time also. Even though it appears that he's being cheated second time, he's giving to his sister, goddess of fortune, who is normally giving to all the materialists all kind of opulences and fortunes. He's giving her in charity. The master of the material and spiritual universe is none other than Lord VamanaDeva. So Lord Vishnu is able to return back to his Vaikuntha planet. Yet at the same time, Bali Maharaja is glorified as one of the Mahajanas. So there are 12 Mahajanas. Swayambhur Narado Shambhu Kumaro Kapilo Manhu Prahlado Janako Bhishmo Bali Vaya Sakirvayam. Hare Kṛṣṇa. So these are the glories of Lord VamanaDeva that we covered on the appearance of the day of Lord VamanaDeva, and how Lord VamanaDeva, Lord Kṛṣṇa, he appears in his various incarnations to reestablish the principles of religion, to protect his devotees, and to annihilate the miscreants. And the annihilation part, somebody asks that who did he destroy? Because he did not destroy the Daityas, rather he blessed Daityas more than the Indra, right? Just like Vritrasur, he was more glorified than Indra on the battlefield. So similarly here, Bali Maharaj is more glorified than Indra, on the charitable grounds. So here we learn as how Lord VamanaDeva, he glorifies his devotee. And sometimes his devotees may not be appearing among the demigods, they may be appearing among the daityas, among the demons. Yet they are glorious because of their offerings, because their acceptance to the wish of Lord Shri Kṛṣṇa. So the important message today is, on the appearance of day of Lord VamanaDeva, we should continue to perform sacrifice, charity and austerity, penance, which will purify us. And the biggest sacrifice, biggest austerity and biggest charity is to engage in the chanting of the holy name. Hare Kṛṣṇa, Hare Kṛṣṇa, Kṛṣṇa Kṛṣṇa, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Kṛṣṇa. Gantra Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai. Lord VamanaDeva ki jai. Lord VamanaDeva's appearance day ki jai. Vijaya. Shravana Dwadashi day ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Anant Kari Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai. Srila Jiva Goswami appearance day ki jai. Hare Kṛṣṇa.